Hello everybody and welcome to this, your Pisces February 2025 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James Clairvoyant. Well, I've got a great deck for you this month. It's painted by a guy who's alive and his name is Luigi Scapini or Scalapini, something like that. And this is a mass market deck. He painted, I think, because I think he painted it for US games or something like that. But I'm sure that and it's all to do with the Renaissance. It's Renaissance art and doing with the culture in Western Europe. So, if you were interested to look it up, I would probably search something like Luigi Renaissance Tarot Scapini, something like that. I'm sure you'll come across it. I reckon it's great, this thing. I think it's beautiful, the paintings in it myself, and there's so much going on. Now, you know, of course, that I do clairvoyant readings for people all over the world via FaceTime and Skype. They take about an hour and a half, I suppose. The details are in the description if you're curious, or I charge for them. But what I don't charge for is a different gift, which is provided for free. Details are in the description, and it takes about 45 minutes. And it's the gift of healing. The healing comes through me and not from me, as you would understand. So, but you're probably saying to yourself, look, if you're charging for it, then it's either no good or there must be a catch. Well, yeah, there is a catch. The catch is that if I did charge for it, it wouldn't work. Plus, I would be doing a grave injury to my own soul, because it was provided to me at birth on the basis that I am to use this gift and to do so without getting anything in return for it. And I've been doing that for over 4 decades now, so I can tell you it is what it is. Now, you might just be at your wit's end with something. There could be something emotional going on. There could be something physical. There could be things to do with business. It just might be the end of your tether. It's pretty well a blank sheet of paper. It's things that need relief and healing and compassion, because it is the vehicle through which the beloved does provide its compassion, its comfort, and its relief and healing to us here. Anyway, there's no video advertisements breaking their way into this content, so we get to enjoy it without any interruptions. Now, show me the magic. Show me the magic. Death. What a great death card. 5 of Wands. 10 of Wands. Gee whiz, this is the Popess. I think there was a myth of a lady pope in the Catholic Church at one time, I think, wasn't there, in the Renaissance period perhaps? Pope Joan, does that ring a bell? I think it's more of a myth than something that actually happened. So, but there's the 9 of Swords. Right, excellent. Now, why don't I bring the camera around so that you and I can have a really good close look at the imagery that's on these great paintings that have got a hell of a lot going on with them. And we'll let the cosmic energy speak to us both while I do the reading for you. Let's go through these together, shall we? Gee, I'm just getting this feeling here that there's something that you want. There's a feeling you desire, but you just can't put your finger on it. And it's driving you insane. All of this energy, in some respects, seems to be culminating in this here. Why? Let's see if we can unravel it, shall we, and see what is going on. Now, here's a picture. There's a couple of merchants here with gold on their mule. They're bringing them down this path, and these bandits are waiting to attack and presumably rob them, I suppose. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this gold here is you. Now, the astrology of it is Saturn ruling the 3rd decan of Sagittarius. Well, look, Sagittarius wants to expand. It's ruled by Jupiter, just as you are ruled by Jupiter. And you want to express your optimism like Sagittarius and express your spiritual side like Sagittarius. And Saturn, in a sense, is all about restriction and holding you back. And so you feel as if this desire is repressed in you, even though you may be not even quite sure how to put it into words. There are nevertheless definitely feelings, I think, that you have within you that are repressed. There's an energy that's held back. You feel isolated, perhaps, in what you're thinking. Sometimes you might think as a result of it that you become overburdened, or that you take on too much, that you feel pressure. In a sense, what's troubling you makes you feel that you don't have any control over circumstances, or that you are a victim. Well, really, what's happening here is that there is a strong desire to let this energy out of you, to communicate it, and it's being blocked by Saturn. Your strength, your vitality, and your life energy can't be expressed and repressed. These energies are turning sometimes into irritation or rage. Now, you know that if this aggression doesn't find any external outlet, well, then you can turn it in on yourself and drive yourself demented. And it can express itself as putting yourself down and even into a depression. But this energy here is an invitation. Recognize and end your repression and your restriction of your life impulse. And this is a step towards taking responsibility for yourself and freeing yourself from unjustifiable moral restrictions and limitations. Remember, these moral restrictions and moral limitations that you encounter, these are often the words of dead men. You don't need to be restricted by the words of dead men. Now, I'll also say this, and I say it respectfully, but, when we don't think that we're good enough, we find ways to make our world small. We don't allow ourselves to hope because we've already expected failure and disappointment. And this pattern of thinking can determine the outcome of your most important choices. But I have to tell you that doubt and confidence are both acts of faith. They are both predictions of your capabilities. Now, you either tell yourself that you can or that you can't. And these beliefs become a self-fulfilling prophecy because you validate your doubts by giving up just as much as you embolden yourself by refusing to give in. The only way that you can break the cycle is to be brave, to have courage. And the simplest form of courage, I think, is to think your own thoughts and say them out loud. You have to ignore your doubts. You have to risk offending people. You have to try and achieve something that maybe for you doesn't seem to be achievable, but it is going to come about. Really, that's the best recipe for confidence. And confidence is how you start giving yourself permission to take up space in the world, to love the way you want to love, to be the person you are, to want more for yourself and feel as though you deserve it. Because you do deserve it. So no more excuses, no more self-sabotage, no more self-pity, no more comparing yourself to other people. Time to step up, take action, and start living your life with purpose and what you want to do. Now, strong people, of course, don't play victim. They don't point fingers at other people. Strong people will take personal responsibility when they have to. And with you working this out now, what is in you that needs to be expressed or felt, and I'm sure you're going to come through it, well, that turns you from being a victim into being a victor. Yes, I know it's good to say it, I suppose, but these thoughts, these feelings that you can't even put into words, they're bubbling around. I think they're going to show up here. I don't know. Let's have a look at this card, which is about change in your life. Now, this is a skeleton. This is a skeleton. He's a raven here, dead people here. But look at these hands poking up, which shows that there is fresh life coming to you. This skeleton is actually in the pose of, like that dancing Lord Shiva, who is the god of destruction and also of renewal. Now, this is Mars ruling Scorpio, which is good for you. Scorpio is one of your sister water signs. And Mars is actually a very good planet for you as well. Do you know that Mars actually rules the third decan of your sign? So it's good for you, Mars. And Mars here is bringing its fiery energy in its lowest form, which is necessary to provide the impulse for change. There is a death and a resurrection going on here for you, a transformation. Scorpio is noted for having three forms, well, at least I see the three forms in it. The first is that of the hard-watered shell scorpion, hard water like ice. It then turns into a snake, which is like the fluid of liquid water, and ultimately its final exalted form is that of the eagle, which is in air, or you might call it water vapor. So there is a transformation coming through with Scorpio here. And I do think that you're going to become free of old patterns of thinking. There's an ending of a way of people around you, letting go perhaps of some emotional attachments. In a sense, it's the end of an era or the end of a cycle that's here. And this is saying to you to don't just learn, but to experience. Don't just read, but absorb. Don't just change, but here, transform. You are born with wings. You see, this card here, I really get the impression of you being like a bird in a cage, in a way. And you are born with wings. The cage door is open, so now you can fly out if you know what it is that is going to set you free. And maybe we'll find out, I don't know. What's happening here too is saying, don't just dream things, but do them. Don't just take, give. Don't just talk, but act. And don't just promise, but prove. You know, sometimes you need to go away from things so that you can come back, so that you can see the place you came from with new eyes and extra color. And the people there see you differently too. Coming back to where you started is not the same as never leaving. It must be said, though, that there is a bit of a challenge being thrown down to you, and it is that it's asking here for you to step outside your comfort zone, because it is only once you've stepped outside your comfort zone that you begin to change, to grow, and to transform. You see, for you in particular, the only way that you can live is if you grow. The only way that you can grow is if you change. The only way that you can change is if you learn. The only way that you can learn is if you are exposed. And the only way that you can become exposed is if you throw yourself out into the open. Do it! Throw yourself. Now, I will say this, because for some reason it seems to just be bubbling up. It must be important, but that it is this, that if people refuse to look at you now in a new light, and they can only see you for what you were, only see you for the mistakes you've made, if they don't realize that you are not your mistakes, then they have to go. You can even still love the person that goes, but you might not be able to have a relationship with them. And it is the case that some people, this is saying, are destined to be part of our history and not part of our destiny. And this is also saying that if in your relationship you are not honored, and that whenever you provide consideration, love, and in return you only get scorn or dismissal, then perhaps it's time to give that relationship back to God, so that both the people, you in particular, can get on with what you are born for. Now, there is here also this energy which is quite competitive in a way, but it could be deeper than that, I suspect. And, well, quite clearly there's 5 men beating each other up and another guy here rubbing his hands thinking, well, I'll just take the money from whoever is the ultimate victor here. Now, here again is Saturn. This time Saturn is in the first decan of Leo, the 23rd of July to the 2nd of August. Now, to be blunt, Saturn and Leo just do not get on. Leo is ruled by the Sun, and Leo is directly opposite the sign on the zodiac wheel of Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn. And so they are in opposition to each other. And Leo, like you, again, in this sort of situation, which is hampered by Saturn, Leo, of course, is the sign of creativity, and it wants to be creative, whereas Saturn comes in and reigns on the parade. And Leo here is a fire sign, and it's in the fire suit of Wands, and added to it is a numeral 5, the 5 of Wands, and I have a mystical association with the planet of Mars with that as well, so there's a lot of fire energy storming around like a forest fire going on here. And Saturn comes in and just stokes the fire up. The astrology is in discord. So again, you've just got this underlying sense of restriction and unfulfilled desire. Now, this energy here represents, I think, the general condition in which the creative power of the lion is blocked by Saturn. Because your free flow of energy is greatly restricted, it's beginning to stagnate. And this concentrated charge of energy within you is striving to find some possibility for expression, such that you walk around thinking that life is a burden. Now, you might also, connected with this feeling within you, find that you are in the middle of arguments, or tension, or even a competition, and you feel as if this is not helping you get what you want. Now, this can sometimes point to competition with people who've got
similar qualities to you. They might be as attractive as you are, but in a different sort of a way. They might be as bright as you are, but they could have the same sort of a resume. They could be as skilled as you are. But what you should do is look in the bathroom mirror at yourself and say, I'm now looking at my competition. Look at yourself as being your own competition, and you are going to improve every day and in every way, and you'll find all these other competitors then, well, they're all struggling to try to make second place behind you. Now, there could be some fighting words being expressed here as well, probably with people who are close to you. Look, fighting in a way is just like using magic. You said the words, or they said the words, and those words altered the universe. By merely speaking, you can create damage and pain, cause tears to fall, drive people away, make yourself feel better, but make your life worse. And the same, of course, can be said for other people. When they're directed, those words are directed at you. Particularly if you are not appreciated, particularly if you are dismissed, particularly if you are not valued. But I'm still getting the feeling that everything's coming to a massive sort of a concentration around this energy here, which is very, very powerful, and I just don't know how to explain it. The way that I will explain it might be the way or what a woman might look for in a man. Now, obviously, the lesbian audience make the necessary adjustment, and men learn from it yourself, it seems. I think a woman, if it's you, and that's irrespective of whether you're married or in a relationship or not, or if you're looking for one, you want a man that never lies to you, is kind to people that have hurt him, a person that respects another's life, that has manners and shows people respect, that goes out of his way to help people, that feels that every person, no matter how infuriating, they deserve compassion. A man who believes that you are the most beautiful woman he has ever met. You're like Helen of Troy. It launched 1,000 ships. Because he brags about your accomplishments with pride. And he'll talk to you about anything and everything, because no bad news will make him love you less. And he's a peacemaker when these arguments occur. He'll see you through illness. He keeps his promises. He doesn't blame others, but tries to find the good in them. A man that raises you up and motivates you to reach for the stars. He doesn't need fame, too much money, or be materialistic to be happy, provided he can provide for you. A man that is gentle and patient with children, that won't let you lie to yourself. He tells you what you need to hear in order to help you grow, who lives what he says he believes in, who doesn't hold a grudge or hold on to the past, who doesn't ask his family members to deliberately hurt people that have hurt him, who will take your dreams and run with them. that makes you laugh at the world and laugh at yourself as well, who does not betray you by having inappropriate conversations with other women. A man who takes his children's spiritual life very seriously and teaches by example. He doesn't look for revenge. He uses communication to solve problems and not his fists. And he does not play games or passively aggressively ignore people or you to hurt them. A man who's real and doesn't pretend to be something that is not. Who has the power to free you from yourself, from his positive outlook. A man who has a deep respect for women and treats them like a daughter of God. He works hard to provide for his family. He doesn't have to hang out at the bar all the time with his friends, but he's happy to spend time with you and his family. A man who is moral, who doesn't go out of his way intentionally to cause harm, who sees your potential to be great, and who doesn't think that a woman's place has to be in the home. A man who supports your life mission wherever that takes you. Someone who is a gentleman, who is honest and lives with integrity, who never discusses your private business with anyone and will protect you and his family. He forgives, he forgets, he repairs, and he restores. Now, when you have a man who has all that going on in his life, then all the little things that you don't have in common, they don't matter. This is the type of man worth being grateful for. See, I think that these sort of concepts are within you. And the reason why I talk about them in this way is because it is Mars in Gemini. Gemini is a very distracted polarity everywhere. It's exploded everywhere. I'll post to the top of the comments a spiritual video I did on the role of the star signs as they represent the soul's descent into matter and rejoinment with the union. I'll stick it at the top of the comments section. When you know what you want, this is something that gives you feeling. So you don't need to be cruel to yourself or to accuse yourself or to have any passive resistance, which can be a problem with the 9. The 9 can be recurring, and then it can bring about a lot of recurring thoughts, even if you don't know what it is that you're thinking about. But 9 is also the sacred number. Now, not many people know this, but in the old days, people used to count the hour from what we today call 6 a.m. They said that's the first hour, 6 a.m. The third hour was 9 a.m. The 6th hour was noon, and the 9th hour was 3 p.m. And then it went down to the 12th hour. And then at night, they used stars to work out the time. But if you look at that, it's no coincidence that the story in the Passion stories in the Gospel have as a literary device the Christ figure being crucified and dying at what we call 3 p.m., but at what they would have known as the 9th hour. Now, you might want to also consider, before we look at this intuitive aspect here, Who judged you earlier, and how do you condemn yourself? I won't talk now about the need to forgive other people who cause you difficulty. I think what you need to do now is to try and crystallize what it is that you want and what it is that's wounding your precious heart. And then, as this says, take responsibility for your life and do something about it. Now, what is going to be the case is this energy here is governed by the moon. Here we see the, what you call the popess. I think it was someone around, well, the urban myth is that there was a female pope at one time, maybe called Pope Joan from memory, I think. On the left-hand side here, the column refers to feminine intuition, feminine receptivity. Here is the masculine, fiery side of male action. She's holding the book of life. Now in front of her here, there grows a garden, again, for you. Now, the moon is associated with this, so do not be at all surprised if, because the moon represents cycles, that you do not have cycles in your emotions and how you think about things at this time. But this is saying that you do now have access to your intuitive powers, and there is a sense of healing here and a desire for independence. The good thing is that there's increasing self-confidence and you discovering your own truth. Now, you will be in touch with your intuitive abilities and be able to trust them completely, as you should, because you're connected to your inner voice, and your inner voice is speaking, and now you're beginning to hear, to make out what it is saying. This internal guide and healer in you. I won't spend a lot more on this because we've been going for a while already, but I will say this, that you now have access to your intuitive powers, so develop them more fully and guard your independence. Now, in particular, are there areas in your life in which you allow other people to influence you rather than you trusting your own intuition? Now, for you, seek out water as often as you can. Look at it, smell it, learn from it as much as you can. And say this to yourself, it's particularly true now, that I deeply honor and value the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive. I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. I am good enough. I am lovable. And I trust my intuitive abilities. What a fabulous, bittersweet, I suppose, set of cards for you. So much better for having you here.
Well, I really enjoyed that art, and I hope that you enjoyed the, well, I'm sure that you would have enjoyed the reading as much as I did providing it to you. Now, unless I see you privately, either for a clairvoyant reading or for a healing, then I'll see you here again next month. Now, until then though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.